Organizations face challenges in delivering effective learning experiences while balancing costs and resources. But what if you could elevate your organization's potential with our custom training delivery? Introducing Infopro Learning's expert global learning delivery solutions. Infopro Learning offers instructor-led training (ILT), virtual instructor-led training (VLT), on-the-job training, conferences and events, executive coaching, group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. Our expert facilitators from diverse backgrounds are ready to elevate your workshops and programs. With Infopro Learning, optimize your delivery model, minimize costs, and maximize facilitator utilization, and deliver impactful learning experiences effortlessly. With a global network of skilled facilitators fluent in over 50 languages and representing over 140 countries, backed by over 15,000 learning consultants, 300+ learning suppliers worldwide, and delivering over 100,000 training hours annually. To unlock your organization's potential, connect with us today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Training Industry Leader Talk, Finding Success Through Adaptive Learning, sponsored by Allego, ELB Learning, Infopro Learning, Skillable, Litmos, and Open Sesame. I'm Avery Vogt, Events Coordinator at Training Industry, and your host for today's session. Before we dive into our next session, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speakers and get the most out of today's sessions. This will be an interactive session, so throughout today's event, please feel free to chat comments into the chat window and submit questions in the Q&A window. We will be monitoring all your questions and saving them for the end for a Q&A section. I have enabled closed captions for this event. You may select to turn on or off the subtitles by choosing the closed caption icon in your toolbar. We also encourage you to share the information you received today with your colleagues and network via social media. Please follow @Training Industry so we're able to track your contribution to the conversation. At the end of your time with us, you'll notice a short survey will have popped open in another browser. We'd greatly appreciate your thoughts on today's event. And lastly, all of our sessions are being recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email from us with a link to the on-demand sessions. If this is your first Training Industry event, a special welcome goes out to you. Training Industry exists to make connections among learning and development professionals. We offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D through live events like today's Leader Talk, as well as through articles on our website, our magazine, conferences, research reports, and our podcast. Make Training Industry your go-to resource for learning solutions. Visit trainingindustry.com to learn more. And now, without further ado, I would love to introduce you to today's speakers, Sumit and Bhaskar. Sumit is an accomplished L&D professional and an expert advisor in learning experience platforms with over 18 years of experience across enterprise learning, instructional design, change management, L&D consulting, and project management. Sumit has led teams successfully towards fostering inclusive learning cultures, agile methodologies, just-in-time learning, and adaptive learning. Bhaskar has over 2 decades of expertise in designing learning solutions. He is committed to utilizing his career insights to develop innovative learning strategies. He excels in assisting organizations in integrating technology into their learning landscape, enhancing people performance and efficiency using agile learning frameworks, learning strategy, and adoption best practices. We are very excited to have both of you here with us today, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Avery. Hello, all. Thank you very much, Training Industry. Thank you, all the sponsors. Great to have you all today. Let's begin with talking about the theme of the series, which is adaptive learning. So to me, adaptive learning, human beings have been adaptive since the beginning of our existence, whether it be natural calamities, wars, Great Depression, economic downturn, world wars, pandemics, we have shown great resilience. So to be adaptive learning is a mere reflection of that sentiment, and how do we respond to the changing environment around us. So in today's session, the only thing that we will not cover perhaps would be, we will not be covering personal preferences of learners. But apart from that, we will look at all the environmental factors that contribute and impact the learning solution. So with that, let me quickly share my screen. Are you able to see my screen, everyone?
Not yet.
Okay, how about now?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So today's topic is unlocking personalized learning pathways for real business outcomes. So we're going to look at various aspects of that subject. I won't take much time on the agenda because that's what you see on the screen. We could readily move to our poll questions. Avery, could you help us with the poll question number 1, please?
Absolutely. All right, everyone, I just launched that poll. Let us know, what industry are you associated with? There's quite a few on here: technology, healthcare, finance, manufacturing, energy. Let us know. I'll leave this open just for a few moments. Getting some good responses here. All right, I'm going to give you all about 5 more seconds. And I'm going to go ahead and share those results. Let's see. So it looks like our largest percent is other. So if you did select other, let us know in the chat what industry you're part of. And then we have 17% technology, 14% healthcare, a small percent of 2 for finance, 10% manufacturing, 7% energy, no retail, 2% hospitality, 19% education, 2% pharmaceutical. And then we have some coming in the chat here. We have government, legal, marketing, advertising, lots of good stuff.
Excellent, excellent. We have a nice bouquet of people coming from different industries. That's always exciting. So let's move on to our next poll question. Avery, again, your help is needed. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I just launched that one as well. Our second poll question is, when creating operation-related learning intervention for different job roles within your organization, should the training content be uniform for all roles? And then we have a couple different options here. Yes, uniform training, maintain consistency by providing the same training content to all job roles. Yes to uniform training, creating customized training, no customized training, or adopt adaptive approach. I'm going to give you all just a few more minutes here. Let us know. We'll leave this open for about 5 more seconds. And it looks like we're one is in the win by far. So I'll go ahead and end this poll and share that with 65% at adopt adaptive approaches.
Oh, wow. So our audience is already aligned with the content we're about to present. So thank you very much for your time with those polls. And thank you, Avery, for the help. So let's quickly move on to how do we now think about learning solutions. So let me invite my friend and colleague, Bhaskar, to go through some of that area for you.
Thank you, Sumit. And thank you, Avery, and thank you, everyone, for sharing your thoughts and inputs. It's very interesting because when we, devise training, it is mostly to meet organization goal. So we are either part of that organization or, as service providers, we are developing for customers or we are a part of the L&D team, devising the learning solutions for people. Now, when we see and when we think of a learning path, what comes first to the mind, right? The people who will be taking the path. And it's the people, it's a job role in case of the organization. So what we see on the screen right now are, some of the industries, the key industries, and we have, you have voted for some of them. Now, when we look at these industries and the different job roles, when we look at them, uh, at different levels, for each level, say we have covered 3 levels out here: the entry, the mid, and the senior. And we see that at every level the job roles per industry is different. And you would agree that the need also between the industries is different. Like when you talk about a new hire in a healthcare industry and in tech industry, the way we would onboard the people and get them up speed would be different. And it would also be different in case we have considered the same industry at different levels as well. The need would be different, right? Sumit, next screen. So now let's look at, when we go and devise a training intervention for a target audience, what do we consider? So there, at one part, there is the skill and of course knowledge, and another part is the behavior, right? So we, for example, let's say we want to, introduce them to a new process in the organization. And to do that, we go and train them. But again, like there would be a behavioral change that needs to be involved. Otherwise, just training will not work. So there would be spaced repetition and things which Sumit will cover later on. But again, we would, if you have a look at this diagram, so on the left, what we see is that the core behavior, which is for all the roles. So here again, we have entry, mid, and senior level people. But again, the core skills, not the core skills, but the core behavior remains the same for all the target groups. But again, there would be something that is characteristic to each and every level. So if you see, as we move from left to right, things are incremental. So things are cumulative. So when we go and devise a learning intervention, we'll be delving more into learning paths. And it's important, like when we go and devise a learning path, we also keep the behavioral aspect in mind. Right? Sumit, can we move on? Okay. Now, let's look at the traditional learning path. Like all through, in most of the cases, what we have been devising is one size fit for all approach. We optimize solutions and create it for people. Okay, let's look at this example out here. So what we have here, we have just move on to one category out here, our fresh hires. And when we talk of fresh hires, we have like we are considering 3 categories out here. One is people with no experience. The other set is people with some experience in the job role. And then we are talking of another set of people who are also new hires, but they have worked maybe for the competitor and has some experience in a maybe similar job role. Now, if you look at the highlighted points out here, like the basic job training, the understanding part, these things, they all need to understand. They need to understand the core aspects of what you are going to learn or take care of in the organization. But again, when you see that the fresher needs maybe more soft skill, the person who has experience maybe needs to focus only on the company specific tools. Now, if we look at now a one-fit solution, we would be optimizing this and creating a learning solution for the target audience. Now consider this for a person who is experienced. They might say, okay, I know it all. I know most of it. I'm not interested. So you lose that learner. For a fresh year, if you create a learning intervention that is probably not too deep, they will miss on the basic points. Hence, what we see that typically when we talk of a traditional approach, what we have been doing for many, many years, fails to accommodate the diverse learning needs of the learner. And hence we move to what is the topic today is, Sumit, can we move on to personalized learning pathways? Now, we all, as professionals have been handling, personalized learning pathways. We sometimes call it TLP or tailored learning pathways. So what is it? It's a dynamic roadmap that caters to the individual needs and goals and preferences of the learners, of the persona. And in terms of persona, what we would be covering today is typically the job profile, not too much of the personal, persona of a person or the learning traits of an individual. So when we look at that, it is a shift from the one size fit of two model, because what we're talking about here is a tailored learning experience of a learner. Now, if you look at that example that we just saw in the previous screen, when we're talking of the three types of new hires and one who has no experience, one who has a bit of experience, and one who has some experience in the other industry, we would all agree that if we give them what they need, they will learn better, because that's what our learning theories say, right? And when we go and recognize their unique learning style, they learn better, right? Because what Piaget said that, what makes sense to us is what we register. And of course, when we take in new people, everyone has different learning paces. Someone might be very fast in learning, quick to pick up. Someone will be good in the long run, but takes time. So the learning pathway, it adopts to the speed of the person. So let's look a bit deeper into this example. Sumit, next slide. Okay. So what we see here is an example. What we are saying here is that we are taking an example of an IT manufacturing organization who is trying to upsell some of the services to the customers, and they're upscaling. So they have taken a lot of new people, new hires, and some of the new hires has no experience. Some of the new hires have experiences in other organizations. And of course, they have their core sales team. Now they have a tough target to meet, and let's see what happens. If you look at the paths from the top to bottom, the orientation part, the first part of the training program, like it's longer for the new hire with no experience, is a bit more concise with the new hire with some experience in some other organization, and the existing people already know about it, right? And again, in the middle part, what we see is a part where, like you talk about the services, you talk about the new product. So that is to be taken about by everyone. And when we look at the speed, when we look at, say, what we were just discussing right now, that the new hire, some of the new hire is very smart, and they, pick up more speed, and the organization needs sellers. They need to meet their timelines and their goals. So that person can easily move on to the next level and to the next level, which is not possible in a normal traditional path. So Sumit will be, exemplifying some of the tools. He will be sharing in some time some of the tools that help us do that, because today with the help of, the different system and also the AI-based systems, we can actually go and even generate the different types of content that we need to give this personalized learning to the learners as well, right? And in terms of, spaced repetition, in terms of adaptiveness of the learning, we can, these systems are quite flexible. And if you think that, okay, like we need a collaboration out here, no problem, we put in a webinar, which is very difficult to put into a very straight jacket curriculum, right? So can we move on? So if there are any questions, please do put it in the chat box. Okay. Now we look at, what are the benefits of the core tailored, of TLP. As we just saw, the TLP, actually the content is tailored to the learner, to the job profile. And hence, when we talk of business or when we talk of, a success parameter, it's more probable that the learners or the people will be able to pick up what they need to pick up, because you're giving them as per their learning style. You are giving them the flexibility to learn at their own pace, because sometimes what happens if you see, there is a group, you have onboarded a group of 30 people, and 10 people are slow, 2 people are super fast, the rest are in the medium pace. Now, you could actually give them different path lines, and they could, move at their own pace and hit the market faster. Again, when we talk of relevant skill development, we focus on the skills directly applicable to the job roles. And here, like I will just digress to, because, some people I see are from healthcare. And when we are talking of, experiences, like one, we talk of global audience. And again, for different industry, we also talk of local audience as well. And in case the policies are different in different countries, the different places, then you can actually give them what they need. And that helps. The learning is again self-paced, and that helps you do it at your own pace. Then we come to the second part, is resourceful learning integration. It's not that you have to go and create everything in today's world. So you bring in a lot of learning assets together, activities together, real-time projects together in the learning part, in the engagement, bring in a lot of engagement, make it fun, make it happening, make it meaningful for the learner. It's very, very possible today. And of course, the learning that we are talking of is adaptive, right? It changes with the need of the learner. It changes with the pace of the learner. And of course, this pathway ensures that every stage remains pertinent and engaging, because, you are actually living the cycle. And if something does not work, it's very, very easy to change, because when we see that, in the overlaps, one feature has changed, you don't need to change the entire pathway. You just go and change that learning asset. Again, Sumit will be sharing some very interesting tools, which really helps us make it happen. So now, I'll hand it over to Sumit, and Sumit will take us through what are the business considerations when we go and choose a learning pathway. So over to you, Sumit. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Thank you very much. I think that, the way Bhaskar talked about, how the role-based pathways are built for the as part of the learning solution. Now we are going to extrapolate that idea to say that, how are the companies and the organizations and in the industry in general looking at personalization or adaptive learning pathways? What are some of the factors that impact that decision? So I've put those factors on my left. So it says that, there are role-based, competency-based, and skill-based factors. So you're talking about organizations who are very, very keen to intertwine their learning solutions in and around the roles that they have, or the competencies and the skills put together. And then there are others who are looking for a learning solution for a very specific business need, or an entire industry in general is looking for a solution which is very close to the industry needs. There are also learning solutions that are being asked by our customers and clients where they want some demography aspect added to it, or some infrastructure and environment aspect. So by demography, I mean, for example, the needs of an share services unit in Philippines will be very different from a mining, workshop or a mining site in Canada, right? And it'll be very different from, how, the business process outsourcing happens in Vietnam, for example. So all of those needs are very different. There could be difference in infrastructure and environment. So, for example, in retail, you are constantly front facing the customer. You do not have the time to check your mobile phone or access any kind of training for that matter. So how do you cater to that? Now you could have a kiosk which is kept at the very start of the supermarket, where or you have a secluded area where all your team members are going, and they go to that kiosk or a common computer where you can take those trainings. Or you could have iPad devices spread out, which help you to go through some of the learnings. So there could be various innovative ways you can tackle that. But the sense is to say that, how do you accommodate the variety of needs that our customers are coming to us with? Now, there are times when, there are industries where there's absolutely no time for the users. They have no time to spend on training. How do you devise a learning path where you have very, very limited time? And we're going to do an exercise on that business scenario, because we are witnessing that scenario very, very commonly in today's times. And then finally, the cost-based, you are sitting in July, you have, let's say, sort of a compliance program that you want to run, which needs to be completed by December, because in January you have an audit, right? So what do? You have limited budget, and yet you have to get that efficiency, and you want to still make use of all the resources possible. Now, what I've done in this slide is I have tried to consolidate some of those ideas to say that, who are these customers? Who are these organizations, and what do they exactly need? So if we club role, skill, and competency-based customers or organizations, what are they looking at? They are looking at insights. They're looking at improved learning insights. They want to look at gaps. They want to look at performance gaps. They want to remain in a continuous learning curve where they constantly want to plug in interventions which will mitigate and address all the learning challenges. And they want to see those results through a proper governance mechanism. And then governance mechanism is achieved through a variety of enterprise-wide platforms such as Workday LMS, Cornerstone, SuccessFactors, Oracle Learning. A lot of these ERP systems extend their learning arms for such cases, and they have their own learning management systems which can be used here. But the point is, this is what they're looking at. Similarly, on the other hand, you'll see when they are looking for specific business and industry-based learning requirement, what are they looking for? They are looking for something which would solve their business problem. Walmart, for example, they wanted to onboard their new team members in a way that will give them a work environment which is safe. At the same time, they are going to learn the skills. So they partnered with a company where they used Oculus headsets with the new learners, and they would wear that headset and walk through the entire onboarding program virtually. It's a completely VR-based learning intervention, and it then gets you to a point where you are almost 60 to 70% ready to face the client or the customer on your shop floor. So similarly, Exonify is another example. They create reinforcement-based product, which enables a lot of industries to help their business-specific needs. Trailhead is a Salesforce platform which helps you to go through an entire certification program on Salesforce. And I think that Trailhead is perhaps the best certification platform any product company has come up with. UpToDate is a very popular app in the healthcare industry. You may know that it gives ready solutions. So you are in the middle of working through a healthcare situation and you go to UpToDate app and you can get your answer right there. So business and industry-based requirements are also very, very prevalent. Then we have the demography and infrastructure and environment-based business problems where some industries, they want to set up learning labs. They want to set up kiosks and communication gyms because their work environment needs that kind of support. So this, sometimes they also have infrastructure or environment related challenges where they don't have, some of them don't have access to laptops or computers. So they need that extra intervention where they are able to mitigate some of those challenges. And then time and cost base, there are multiple, learning platforms available in the market which are cheap, yet it'll get the job done. So if you are running into a timeline and where you want to get through a program and because there is an audit and you have limited budget, you can think of platforms such as Moodle or Talent LMS for that matter. Okay, so with that, we head on to our next section, which is a business challenge. It's like a case study, and I want you all to participate. So I'm going to read out the challenge to you, and then I will be asking my chat question. You could answer the question on the chat, and we will move forward to the solution next. So here's a business challenge. So there is a retail client. They have a very heavy turnover. In fact, their frontline team member turnover is around 76%, and there's a heavy attrition. That's why, it gets very, very overwhelming, even for the new employees or the existing employees, because they're constantly training people. There is hardly any time to finish anything at all. There is a time creep. Limited, insufficient training leads to slippages. It's a strenuous work environment. There's a little bit of toxicity between the supervisors and the new hires, because obviously the new hires are not able to perform due to lack of training. So overall, the problem statement is heavy attrition leading to poor workload management, leading to performance gaps and accelerating the turnover even further. So it's like a catch-22 cycle. So this is the business challenge. So my question to you is, what are some of the primary considerations while deciding on an adaptive learning path for this client? So do not jump into the conclusion as yet. This is specifically to ask you, what all would you consider to even come up with a solution? So what are some of the prerequisites, or maybe not prerequisites, what are the pre-considerations? So Avery, if you want to take the chat up. Okay.
I have it up, so let us know. Sherry just said time frame. We have, what are core skills and gaps that need to be covered? Environment to learn. Are most new employees coming in with the same background knowledge? Give everyone another second here. Primary objective of the organization. These are all great. Karen says cost, feedback and improvement.
Very good. We are getting some great insights here.
Yeah, someone just dittoed the cost and addressing the short-term versus long-term impact. marketing optimization, onboarding optimization, customer service enhancement. Lots of good suggestions here.
Great, great. Thank you so much for your responses. Really appreciate. Well, all of them are, pretty aligned with what the considerations are. So let me move on to the consideration slide. So we are looking at it from a view where we want to build out the solution. So some of the pre-considerations would be, the fact that, it must be learning in the flow of work, because we understand that the client, the learners or the users, they don't have time at all. So if it is not in the flow of work, they will never be able to make it. Change communication for the front line. Somebody said marketing, someone said campaign, I think. This is very close to that, change communication for the front line. The front line is the biggest challenge for this company. So a change communication to begin with, to start building the solution, to say that, we are bringing this change and it is going to, radically change the way we learn in this organization. Traditional compression of content won't work. This is where I'm egging for reinforcement-based learning, because reinforcement-based learning translates your content into a bunch of questions, and you can add your Kirkpatrick's model, etc. And you can, have the, learners go through your learning path without having to go through much content. So that's the biggest benefit, and you can start applying that knowledge instantly into the workplace. I'm also going to, talk about some of the pitfalls of the client's situation. Time is barely enough to finish daily tasks. Need for advanced content transformation method that allows easy and fast internalization and learning, and need a validation tool at every stage to capture qualification. Now, while you're doing all of this, you need to be sure that your learners are learning the right thing, and they have accomplished a certain benchmark before they move to the next stage. Hearts and minds, very important, because while all this chaos is happening, you also want to tackle the feelings of the learners. They need to feel competitive, and they want to feel achieved. They want to, feel rewarded. There has to be a feeling of gratification, accomplishment, motivation, etc. And then putting all of this together, eventually it needs to lead to learning fast and applying faster. So those will be quick value considerations. Now let's look at the adaptive solution. So the solution is reinforcement-based micro-learning, entire content library turned into questions and short videos, content taught within 5-minute micro-learning videos. This is followed up by reinforcement-based questions, 3 to 4 a day. Now, if you go by that calculation, 3 to 4 a day means probably 20 questions a week, 80 questions a month. You're talking about 240 questions in a span of 90 days. And if it takes 2 to 3 minutes max to answer a question in average, then you are talking about 12 hours of learning for the entire 3 months, which is not much considering the amount of loss they are going through, while trying to train their people, and they're witnessing this huge turnover. And then learning in the flow of work, very, very important. Like I mentioned earlier, there should be a leaderboard which maintains a healthy competition. 2 to 3 minutes to answer a question I already spoke about. There's weekly, monthly, quarterly winners rewarded, and then showcased in broadcast channels of the store. So that's the adaptive solution. While we look at that solution, what should also be considered are the following. When we build our strategies, we must always align it with the goals, which is your KRAs, your KPIs, your KSAs, and OKRs, any 3-letter word that describes your achievement or the outcomes that you need. The purpose and potential. Now, why you want to measure certain things, finding the big why is the path breaker. And then finally, I'm going to talk about spaced repetition a little bit, because this is the key aspect of reinforcement-based learning. So I don't know if you've heard of this term called Littner's system. It basically says that every correct answer will become more and more rare, whereas every incorrect answer becomes more frequent in the journey. So that's how reinforcement-based learning becomes very, very effective, because you're constantly answering questions where your gaps are, and that actually brings out the best knowledge retention in your mind. And then finally, capacity and capability. A lot of times we overpromise to ourselves. We want to deliver a lot. We want to land into the moon and back. But one has to be very, very realistic as to what the time frame is, what the budget is, and how much can be achieved. While reinforcement-based learning is a great way of solving this particular problem, there could be other ways of solving other problems as well, depending on how much of efficiency you want to draw and how much time and budget you have. So finally, I'm going to go through my final slide, which talks about tools which are very, very adaptive in nature. So in today's industry, we are noticing that organizations are going for multiple layers of learning platforms. Learning experience platforms, of course, form the top layer, which caters to most of the business needs and some of the competency and skill needs, whereas the LMS is mostly used for governance and administration purposes, because you want a strong foundation to run your insights, to run your reports, to know what are the gaps, how you want to improve your learning plan, how are you going to match your learning plans with the strategic ideas and strategic path of the company. So a lot of these platforms are available to us. We just have to become more aware. So for example, Exonify, we talked about earlier, is a reinforcement-based learning platform. SimGate is a simulation gateway. It helps you to create simulations for behavioral learning interventions. You could practically, sorry about that. You could practically create simulations using various scenarios to improve behaviors. DeepHow is a very interesting tool used primarily in the manufacturing world, where you can capture videos of processes and devices and how to use machines and turn them into learning interventions, digital learning interventions. WhatFix is a very effective tool, which is like a plugin into your browser. So let's say you're running through an application, it literally give you layers of learning, learning links that are relevant to the content you are viewing at that point. So it's a very, very effective tool to give you on-the-spot learning. Striver is the company which does all the VR and AR related learning interventions. So the Walmart project that I was talking about, it's quite popular in YouTube. You can go and watch. Striver is the company that has driven that. Trailhead is a Salesforce product certification program, which is online, which is free. Only the certification costs you. Rest, all the content is free. About the LMS systems, I think these are very, very popular LMS systems. Most of you must have some exposure to these in some point in time. Workday, Cornerstone, SuccessFactors. The main thing to notice about these are they're also improving over a period of time. So they are collaborating with the LXP platforms even more today than ever. And hence, to propose solutions which are an amalgamation of LSP and LMS, when the client is looking for such solutions, is the best way to go, because then your governance and your foundation is very strong and your LXP delivers on all the business outcomes that you're looking for. And as far as reporting goes, I know that LXPs and LMSs give a lot of fancy reporting, but what Tableau and Power BI or the likes can do to your reporting is unparalleled. Cannot be matched with any other seeded reporting system that comes with an LXP or an LMS. So that would be my very succinct ideas about learning pathways. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. We can take up some questions. Avery, over to you.
Hi, Sumit. Yeah, we are actually like just out of time. Maybe we have time for one question here from Becky. In the TLPs, does the advanced product training share any content with the understanding products and services, or is the content wholly separate?
So I'll take this question. It's an interesting question. Becky, it's totally up to you how you would want to devise that, because it will totally depend on two factors. One is what is the, success criteria that we're putting in, and also how your, org chart is, like what are the job profiles. So typically, you would keep the simple to mid-level as one, and then make the advanced as a separate learning pathway. But again, with adaptive learning pathway, you could integrate it very, very easily without creating any cognitive overload on people. But again, I would emphasize that it's up to you how you would want to devise it.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you both for this session. It was super informative. It was really great having you both here and sharing with us. I am going to just wrap us up and remind everybody that we have one more session after this. We're going to take about a 15-minute break. And then up next, we have David from Allego joining us for their session, How to Adapt Your Training to the Demands of Modern Learners. So in a moment, I will end this session and you can join our next session by returning to the event lobby and going to the session tab. Thank you again, both for your time, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Avery. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.